You know, I went in there with no desire to do anything with that education afterwards. And I think that traps a lot of kids. Maybe you're good in math in high school and you jump in to be some kind of mathematician, scientist, whatever it is. And then you get there and you don't have a passion for it. And I think that's where, you know, you do peter at. You stop going to classes and you wish, like Sean said, that you had classes that taught you things that you need to know. You know, you want them. And I think if more kids kind of looked at it like that, I think it'd be better off. I do think Abby will be fine. I am not worried about my kid, but I also know this. If she fucks up, great. I'll bring her home. We'll figure it out. We'll move on. It's not going to be the end of the world.
It was Phyllis Diller, and I can't remember the exact quote, but she said, you know, the best thing, and one of the best things to life she ever did was quit everything that she didn't want to do. So she would do a job and she found out it wasn't good for her, so she quit it. She'd do another job, quit it. And that led her to being a comedian. So she found the job that she wanted to do by quitting all the other jobs that she didn't want to do. Now, that doesn't mean that you abandon a project because it's too hard for you, or, you know, you just don't want to do the work because it might challenge you. No, if you're quitting something because it's not your passion, it's not your desire, that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying this about anybody. I know people who've been divorced. You know what? There's nothing wrong with being divorced. That's just saying these two people don't need to be married anymore. Hopefully it's amicable when they do get divorced. I understand when there's angry in it, but that's a decision that they made, that this doesn't work anymore, so we're not going to do it. That doesn't mean a person A or person B is a failure. That just means that the relationship they decided to have, they don't need to have it anymore. They quit that relationship, and that's fine. If you want to quit a job, it doesn't say anything about you. That just means you don't want to work that job anymore for whatever reason that you have. As long as it's a legitimate reason, not you saying like spacemen are digging into my brain and telling me I have to quit this job, then you have to talk to somebody about that. But if you're saying, I can't do the work, I don't enjoy the work, find the work that you want to do.
Sean,
enjoy the work that you want to do.
That brings to mind one of my favorite bands, and I'm going to read a bit of lyric out of a song that I literally have called Quitter. And the lyrics are, quit talking to God if your prayers don't get answered, or you don't exactly notice when they do. Quit taking the jobs that rob you of your powers so that you can buy more shit that you don't have time to use. Quit hanging around this air-conditioned town when your life is just end up hunched over a phone. You're going to have to quit everything until you find the one thing you won't. And every time I hear that lyric, I'm like, it's the truth to me. You're gonna try things, and if that doesn't work for you, fucking quit. Quit going down that path. Don't have to prove it to anybody.
If I play a video game and I don't like it and I quit playing it, does that mean I'm a failure? No, it just means I didn't like the game and I'm moving on from it.
Yeah. I mean, if I walk out of a Zack Snyder film, it doesn't mean that I didn't. I just was.
It doesn't mean you're a failure. You can't finish watching a movie. I mean, I'm reading a comic book and I get halfway through and I go, "This is garbage." Does that mean I failed, or does that mean the writer failed? No, that just means I quit reading the book.
Right, and you have to let it go. You have to be able to let go of these things where you read something and you read something, you're watch something, you're going a career, you're like, this is not it. But that doesn't mean that there are not elements that kind of want to bowl you into it.
Sure.
So to make it attractive at a job, whether it's the person at school, the fact that you like the environment, these kind of things that happen. But if it doesn't speak to you, then why continue it? I'm not saying you should always be a journeyman, but where's your
I'm not saying just like
put the work in.
You have to drop a sweat come down your face. You go, oh, I'm quitting now.
Yeah. But life, and especially, and this, what I'm going to say here about Abby again is going to lead into kind of a second question, if Sean wants to take it there, that he was asking me before you came on, Richard. She wants to study at this point forensic psychology. My dad's a psychologist. I decided not to do that. I just don't have the wherewithal to sit with people and talk about their shit, even though I end up talking to everybody in the world about their problems.
Did you make her watch Mindhunter?
Yes, it's Johnny Douglas, who that's based on, is one of her true heroes. Right. However, Abby, you guys know this, was an archer. She was tied for first place in the state of Texas this year.
When you say was, is she still not? Is she not doing it anymore?
We'll get to that. So the kid was great. And what I told her is, I said, at 18, she's like, well, am I going to make a lot of money doing forensic psychology? I said, it depends. If you go work for the city of Dallas, probably. If you end up working for Sherman Denison, where I'm from, you won't make shit. However, I did say one of the emerging psychological fields is sports psychology. And we just watched this. We watched the first 2 episodes of Ted Lasso, and I had said to Abby, I want you to think about something. You're already incredibly good at psychology. You're very interested in what makes people work. You're also a very accomplished archer. You could make really good sense for you to go into. Well, last night when she was watching Ted Lasso, she turned around and went, okay, I got a question. And she starts going to sports psychology. I thought, well, maybe this kid will go there. The reason I bring that up, I think the more interesting thing to talk about for me with Abby at this point is how that career path does this. It snakes around. You think you're going here, but it's like it pulls you and pulls 100%. You and pulls you. So to Sean asked me about watching the Olympics and watching archery.
I was watching archery was up, and I was talking about when does it become the equipment versus the person? Because these bows that they have now have like this Y suspension on the front of it that keeps it balanced, and these targets that you look down and it's made out of super carbon fiber or whatever, and the best strings that you can ever have. So give everybody the same bow, give everybody the same setup. I mean, is it the person or the equipment?
It's 100% the person. 100%.
Well, I mean, we could relate it to CrossFit. I mean, you can go in to do pull-ups, and you've got a bar, and you've got to decide, is the bar sticky or tacky or not tacky? What do you do? Is it slick? What do you do this? What are these grips like? Am I getting this type of grips? Am I cleaning my hands? What am I doing? Like the bow is consequential, but it's ultimately about the skill more than anything else.
100%.
And the athletes kind of adapt to what tools they can use to kind of master this thing. The simplicity is, when you look at archery, you're looking at one focus. When you look at something a little more complex about gymnastics, you've got the same set of rings and support ropes coming down, but you think about, what am I doing with my hands? What's the grips? What am I using? How am I doing this? What can I do to make myself move a little bit better in these movements and environments? And how do we change the equipment for the vaults to make things a little bit more ability to do these kind of stuff? It's evolution of the sport, but not of the skill.
So, and to that point, Sean, when you're asking, is it the equipment or is it the person? When you get into archery, and I said this to Sean, Richard, before you came on, archery is, there are numerous steps you go into it, but it's all about the push of the hand into the bow and exerting weight and push into it, pull, and then the elbow goes back and comes back, and it has to be a seamless transition.
No, this is a audio podcast. Nobody's seeing it. Basically, put your hand next to your face on your cheek and swipe it off. That's
it goes behind your head, to the point that if your hand, this is where it becomes a person. If your hand, instead of going straight back, goes out a little bit and then back, you're gonna tweak that line, and it's gonna make the arrow go off. Well, when Abby shot, they shot with compound bows, meaning that there are little gears at the top that allow them to pull. Every child shoots with the same one, and that you cannot put weights or balances on it. There are no sights. If she shoots in college, and the reason I say if, and this gets to your question if she's doing it, is right now they are not having the archery team.
Is that because of COVID?
Yes,
or
because and the best we can figure. This is what I don't understand. They're going to have football, so you can go slap each other upside the head and spit on each other.
Sweat in somebody's mouth, but
something that shoots arrows and you're touching and have to pull
far away from people.
Yeah, they don't want to do that. If she shoots that, she'll shoot with what's called a recurve, which is more along the classic bow that you want to see. You don't do now. I may be speaking out of turn. There may be some that shoot with wood, but it's mostly carbon fiber. And it's a simple one string. That's it. She would not shoot with scopes. When they get to the Olympics, they're going to do those counterbalances and scopes simply because that's what's agreed upon for that sport. There are all kinds of different archery, all kinds of different bows, all kinds of situations. And the wonderful thing is, if you're taught like Abby, you can transition to all of them. And that's where you really do get into it. It's the skill of the archer, and it's not the equipment. Would she have a learning curve to go pick up that sight? Yeah. You're going to have to tweak it. You have to learn how to use it. But when it gets down to it, when you're seeing all those cross balances and all those kind of things, they are within specifications. So no one's getting an advantage of that bow over the other.
I understand that. I just wonder what it would be like if they, go back 100 years, just do it with an old bow and arrow, and how would everybody do?
Oh, I guarantee you those people would kick ass. Those
well,
Olympic
I'm not saying they'd kick ass, but I want to see how they would do without future tech.
Sure.
The equivalent to me is anytime I see a cooking challenge show where it's, hey, these amateur chefs have to bake everything with these ingredients they've never seen before, right. And also they have to be blindfolded while they do it. Know what I want to see? I want to see an expert chef do that first, be given no ingredients, no knowledge. They have to do the weird challenge, and then put something out there that other chefs go, oh man, this is delicious. I want a point of reference. I want to see old technology can do this. An amateur can do this well. A professional can do this well. Let's see how they do in between. That kind of thing.
And the bigger thing for archery is the place where it really gets into, from what I understand, and this is my limited knowledge of being the father of an archer for years, is when is the longer distances you get to the point where you have to compensate, especially in the Olympics where they shoot to the point you have to compensate for wins and things like that. That's when it starts getting into, I don't give a shit what you've got into it. There's knowledge that goes along and discipline to your body.
And I showed you a long time ago that Smart Every Day, I think, talking about the Bowman's paradox, where an arrow does not fly straight, it actually wobbles. So they have to instinctively know how to get that wobble to go the right way.
Right. Well, and that's what it is as far as Olympics. Is there anything else? Anybody watching anything? We got about 4 minutes. Anybody watching anything you want to toss out to the people out there?
Watching right now. What If is about to start pretty soon, so I'll be watching that when it comes out.
Richard, anything?
Yeah.
I'll tell people, because I love music stuff, Mark Ronson, who is the producer who produced a lot of Amy Winehouse's stuff, has a brand new series on Apple Plus that if you're a music junkie and you really want to understand about the house and what, it's wonderful. And the first one is about auto-tune, and it's lovely to hear a musician that accomplished come out and admit, when I first heard it, I thought it was cheating, because I always look at it as cheating too. But then
it pitches you, yeah.
But then he even has Paul McCartney on, and Paul's like, yes, if you turn it to zero latency, in other words, it just happens.
Oh.
That's where you get that.
We sound like a robot.
Sound. You get the share effect. But then if you turn it to 100, it's just going to tweak those notes. He's like, well, I want to give you something that sounds pleasant. Why wouldn't I do that and make it the best it can be? So it's a very interesting thing, and he tackles a lot of those things. Yeah. So it's well worth the watch. And Mark Ronson's a very interesting dude. So I think that's it. Anybody got anything else?
I told him to watch that.
Yeah, go. It's good. I think you'll really enjoy that.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. In between, that's done. Richard, go make some tacos. I'll be there in about 30 minutes.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.